Welcome back to Madman Review. In recent years, gun violence has become a major issue in the U.S., leaving many anti-gun idiots feeling helpless and afraid. However, there are a ton of instances where individuals have taken action and used their legally owned firearm to stop a dangerous situation and prevent crime. Anti-gun progressivists have always stood by their argument, saying a good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun is a myth. Well, hopefully, this video proves otherwise. There is no denying the fact that an individual who has access to a legally owned defensive firearm can stop a bad guy, even without having been trained. In this video, we will talk about some of the most compelling cases where individuals used their firearms to protect themselves and others from harm. Oh, and if you didn't know, none of the Soros-funded media channels cover these types of news, so if you haven't seen any of them aired on national TV, you can blame it on Soros. These stories of bravery and quick thinking serve as a reminder that in the face of danger, there are people who are willing and able to take action to save lives and can do it as long as they have access to a firearm. Number 10. On September 25th of 2014, Alton Nolan, a former employee of Vaughn Foods in Moore, Oklahoma, thought it would be a good idea to go on a little rampage. This deranged psycho was suspended from his job following a complaint made against him by another employee of the company, Tracy Johnson, after an argument about his alleged dislike for white people. Nolan then went home, retrieved a knife, and placed it in his shoe. He later drove to the plant's distribution center, crashing into a parked car before entering the front administrative office area. There, he attacked another employee, Colleen Hufford, from behind, first slashing her throat and then beheading her. Other co-workers tried to intervene by kicking and throwing chairs at him. Nolan also attacked Tracy Johnson, intending to behead her. The attack ended when Vaughn Foods Chief Operating Officer Mark Vaughn, an Oklahoma County Reserve deputy, shot and wounded Nolan, who was later arrested by responding police. Nolan was taken into custody and charged with all sorts of nasty things, including first-degree murder, assault with a deadly weapon, and assault and battery with a deadly weapon. It turns out Nolan had a bit of a criminal past, with multiple assault and battery charges and even an attempted prison escape under his belt. Number 9. On July 17, 2022, a tragic incident took place at a mall in Indiana. Jonathan Sapperman, a local citizen from Greenwood, entered the mall carrying multiple firearms and over 100 rounds of ammunition. He proceeded to hide in a restroom near the food court, where he stayed for over an hour before beginning his deadly attack. Once he emerged from the restroom, Sapperman began firing into the food court area of the mall, killing Victor Gomez, a resident of Indianapolis, who was standing near the restroom entrance. He then targeted a nearby table, shooting and fatally injuring Pedro and Rosa Pineda, a married couple also from Indianapolis. The shooter then continued firing, causing injuries to a 22-year-old woman and a 12-year-old girl who were among the mall patrons. However, amid the chaos, a civilian bystander named Elijah Dicken took action. Dicken, who was legally armed, engaged in a gunfight with Sapperman just 15 seconds after the shooting began. He fired 10 rounds from his Glock handgun and hit the shooter 8 times, ultimately neutralizing the threat. The bravery and quick thinking of Dicken prevented further loss of life and helped to bring an end to the horrific attack. After informing security guards that he had neutralized the shooter, Dicken waited for police to arrive and provide assistance. Number 8. Back in 2006, a not-so-bright robber decided to hold up Media Madhouse, a store in Indiana. Unfortunately for him, one of the employees was packing heat and didn't take kindly to being held at gunpoint. With lightning-fast reflexes, the employee drew his own firearm and shot the would-be robber, saving the day and the lives of everyone in the store. The suspect, a guy by the name of Darnell Jackson, was later identified as having a pretty sketchy criminal history. Jackson was taken into custody and charged with attempted robbery and criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon. The owner of Media Madhouse had made the smart decision to allow his employees to carry firearms for protection, and it definitely paid off in this case. Number 7. When 2 teenagers reportedly tried to rob an internet cafe in Ocala, Florida, 71-year-old Samuel Williams refused to sit back and watch. According to reports, Davis G. Dawkins and Dwayne Henderson, both aged 19, entered the cafe wielding a handgun and a baseball bat and yelled at the patrons, "Don't move!" Williams, who was seated at a computer in the corner of the cafe, stood up and pulled out a .380 auto handgun. The surveillance footage shows William firing 2 shots at Henderson, who quickly fled the scene. Williams then shot at both young men as they panicked and ran out of the cafe. After their arrest, Dawkins and Henderson were charged with attempted armed robbery with a firearm and felony criminal mischief. However, officials said that Williams was unlikely to be charged with the crime because the shooting appeared to be justifiable. Williams has a concealed weapons permit for his handgun. The state attorney's office reviewed the security footage and said that he doesn't think anyone would file any charges against Williams. Dawkins was released from jail after posting an $11,000 bond, while Henderson remained in Marion County Jail for failing to post a $31,000 bond. The incident serves as a reminder of the importance of responsible gun ownership, demonstrating how a 71-year-old arthritis-stricken senior can stop any bad guy. It also goes to show that if you mess with the wrong cafe in Florida, you might just end up with a few extra holes in your pants. Number 6. In January of 2012, a young Oklahoma widow, Sarah McKinley, was forced to shoot and kill a man who broke into her home in search of prescription drugs belonging to her deceased husband. Sarah's husband had passed away on Christmas Day, leaving behind their 3-year-old son Justin and medications for his cancer treatment. Justin Martin, a friend of Sarah's deceased husband and who was addicted to prescription drugs, had gone missing in recent weeks, prompting Sarah to suspect someone was breaking in. Martin knew Sarah's deceased husband had recently died of cancer and believed there were more narcotics in the house. On the night of the funeral, Martin knocked on Sarah's door but left when he realized she had company. However, he returned on New Year's Day armed with a 12-inch hunting knife and broke into the house. Sarah called 911 and reported the break-in while also arming herself with a 12-gauge shotgun. When Martin entered the room, Sarah shot him dead. Police later confirmed that Sarah would not face charges as the shooting was considered to be in self-defense. Sarah's bravery in protecting herself and her son has been widely praised by the firearms community. Number 5. A 69-year-old Alabama resident named Ethel Jones became a viral sensation after she shot an intruder who attempted to break into her home in the middle of the night. Jones, a widow and mother of 4, was in her bathroom when she heard someone at her back and front doors. Suspecting a break-in, she reached for her snub-nosed revolver in .38 Special, which she kept under her pillow, and waited for the intruder to make a move. The intruder removed a window air conditioner and began to make his way into the house. Jones fired 3 shots when she saw the intruder, causing him to flee the scene wounded. The suspect, 18-year-old Michael Bynum, lived less than a mile away from Jones. After being shot 3 times, he fled the scene with a new perspective on the dangers of breaking into a gun-toting granny's home. He was taken to the hospital, where he was arrested by the police. He sustained a gunshot wound to the gut and was charged with second-degree burglary. Despite never having fired her firearm before, Jones proved that even senior citizens can be tough as nails when it comes to defending themselves and their homes. Number 4. Jan Cooper, a 72-year-old Southern California resident, defended herself and her 85-year-old husband by shooting at a man who attempted to break into their home. Cooper fired a single shot from her .357 Magnum revolver when the man attempted to enter their home through a sliding door around 12:30 a.m. on June 9th of 2013. Cooper warned the dispatcher that she had a gun while her Rottweiler barked in the background. Through the vertical blinds, Cooper saw his silhouette just inches away from the glass as he began to slide open the door. She immediately called 911, during which she told the intruder to back off and leave. She then yelled at him that she was going to shoot, and she did. She begged the dispatcher to send deputies, stating that she was unsure if she had hit the man or not, who was standing at her back door in her yard. Minutes after the incident, the suspect, Brandon Alexander Perez, was arrested by responding deputies who had heard the gunshot. Perez pleaded not guilty to a burglary charge. A spokesman for the Orange County Sheriff's Department said that Perez's criminal record included other burglary and narcotics charges. Cooper's gun, which she had owned for around 20 years, was legally purchased and correctly registered. The sheriff stated that it was possible that something worse could have happened if Cooper had not fired her gun. Number 3. In Ashtabula, Ohio, a pregnant mother of 2 found herself in a terrifying situation when 2 intruders attempted to break into her home. The woman, whose identity has not been revealed, refused to let the intruders in, but they proceeded to break down her back door and make their way up the stairs. With no time to waste, the woman retrieved her firearm and fired at the intruders, hitting one of them and scaring them both off. She then called the police, who arrived on the scene and apprehended the injured intruder. This pregnant mom was a real-life Wonder Woman when she showed quick-thinking bravery during a home invasion. Good thing she had access to a firearm as well. The injured intruder was later identified as 33-year-old Morgan Shane Mesco, who had a history of criminal behavior, including prior arrests for drug offenses and theft. He was charged with burglary and attempted burglary, among other charges. Number 2. In June of 2012, a 14-year-old boy from Phoenix, Arizona, shot a man who broke into his home while holding a gun as the teenager watched over his 3 younger siblings. The boy and his siblings were home alone when a woman rang the doorbell on Friday. The boy did not answer the door as he did not recognize her. A few moments later, the boy heard a bang on the door, quickly moved his siblings upstairs, and got a handgun from his parents' room. When he reached the top of the stairs, he saw a man breaking through the front door and pointing a gun at him. The boy then shot the 37-year-old intruder. He survived the shot, but was hospitalized and was later booked into jail. The gun the boy used belonged to his father, but it is not clear if he had been trained to use it. Holmes said that the family is lucky that the teen acted so quickly and effectively, as things could have turned out much worse. Of course, if there was no gun in the house to begin with, no amount of quick thinking could have helped those little boys. Number 1. In November of 2015, a 13-year-old boy from Ladson, South Carolina, found himself in a life-threatening situation when two men attempted to break into his home. The teen, who was alone at the time, quickly realized something was amiss when he saw a vehicle pull up behind the house. He then saw a man trying to break into his home and immediately grabbed his mother's pistol to defend himself. According to the police report, the boy exchanged gunfire with Lamar Brown, 31, and Ira Bennett, 28, who were allegedly attempting to break into the home. The boy, whose identity has been withheld because of his age, fatally shot Brown. Bennett fled the scene with Brown in a car, and witnesses later identified him as the driver. When the vehicle arrived at the medical center to the emergency room, but he could not survive multiple gunshot wounds, as confirmed by the Charleston County Chief Deputy Coroner. Bennett, who has a history of criminal activities, including burglary and narcotics charges, was later arrested and charged with first-degree burglary and possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, according to the Charleston County Sheriff's Office. A judge denied him bond. The mother of the brave 13-year-old hero later revealed that she keeps a pistol at home for protection, though she had never instructed her son how to use it. She clarified that she advises her children to call 911 if they find themselves in danger, but also to take matters into their own hands if necessary. After all, it's better to be safe than sorry.